Hello, listeners. Hi, my name is Madhavi, and I'm so happy to have you on UppTalk. You have come to the right place if you want to learn about IT and do really cool things with your hands. We are not just another IT company when I say UppTalk. Think of us as your learning partner dedicated to helping you reach your full potential. We have top notch hands on courses to help you build your business, whether you're new to technology or want to move up in your current job. Let's look around this as our first step towards learning.
Now, what we are going to be seeing is when I introduced this particular topic earlier this week or last week, I believe end of last week, I told you about the different types of actions that you can have. Now, we are going to be doing a little bit of more deep dive into all of these that are available over here. All right, that's what we are going to be seeing first. Number one, action. We've already seen action, what exactly an action is. Action could be anything, any kind of an action, any other event that you want to trigger. And we also have something called as sub business process. A sub business process is nothing but you're going to be initiating another business process from the higher business process. See, for example, this is a higher business process, and I'm going to be initiating another business process. Initiating another business process, and this business process is called as onboarding. From higher, I'm going to be initiating an onboarding business process. That is typically what this means. And where do I see the list of business processes that I can initiate from higher, or how does it work? Is we have a different option which is called as business process config options. All right, business process config options. What it actually shows is all the different business processes, sub business processes, which can be initiated from my higher business process. All right, this is just a menu or an option that is available. I will just show you only at a high level. I'm not going to go into detailed deals about this. We will see this again when we do the debugging and everything else. But for now, remember that business process configuration options is used for sub processes, viewing all the sub process level information and task information and everything else as well, including the save options. And everything else is going to be available from your business process config options. That is where it is going to come in. All right. Now just going back to the edit business process here. I said first, action is going to be like any other event or any sub business process that I want to trigger from a higher BP. I can use actions. That is number one. Number two, approvals. We saw yesterday about what exactly approvals is. I've initiated something and I want to have an approval by somebody in the supervisory hierarchy. I could have a manager, vice president, director. Anybody can approve this particular transaction. That is what approval is for. And if you see, this particular option will be created out. The specific option is going to be created out because I do not have any task. Approval is just a task by itself. I do not have anything specific for this. It is going to be available only for action and for certain other options. All right. Next, if I go to the next one is called as approval chains. What if there is a high volume or a high priority incident or high priority event which needs to be approved by multiple levels? Especially the ones which are going to involve some financial implications. Say, for example, if that is going to be a procurement related thing, or if I'm going to be hiring somebody at a C-suite level person, and I believe that it needs to be approved by multiple levels in the hierarchy. That's the key. Series of approvals in the hierarchy. If I say here approval chain and I say the group over here as manager, all right, this is going to go across in an approver of manager. Managers, manager, managers, managers, manager, managers, manager, and the manager L4 level manager, FLL manager. And of course, I can have a criteria written around this as well to say how many levels it needs to go. Or I can even have skip level approvals, which means L1, L3, L5. And I can also decide how many levels of approvals it needs to go across as well. I can completely conditionalize this and say that it needs to go across for an approval in the approval chain. It can be approved by manager, senior manager, vice president, director, CEO. Among these, I can have just one level of approval, two levels of approvals, or skip level approvals. Whatever way I would like to have, I can have this configured. Where do I decide skip level approvals? Where am I going to decide how this needs to function ideally? I need to go to the step level related actions. Business process maintain step conditions. All right. Maintain step conditions for that particular specific step. And earlier in the previous one, you were seeing only the entry condition. But one thing good about your maintain step conditions for your approval chain is you will see three tabs over here. You will see three tabs over here. The first one is your entry condition, which is nothing but your if criteria, which we mentioned. Let me say location, New York. Just a simple thing. I'm saying that this is going to be triggered only for New York. I'm just picking a random rule which is already available. Alright, it doesn't matter to me what it is. Just assume that this is the rule that I'm going to be using. Alright. I'm saying while condition. This is specifically where I'm going to be mentioning what exactly needs to happen when the condition is being run. First, we saw the entry condition. Next, what we have over here is a while condition. While condition in the sense, if I'm going to say I'm going across, management approval hierarchy, manager L, that is L1 manager, L2 manager, L3 man, L4. This is going to be directly going across in the same manner. Or those folks who are from a technical background assume that this is like a while loop. A while loop, a simple while loop is what this is. And for the rest of the non-technical folks, what I'm saying is assume that this is going across in the approval hierarchy chain. What do I want to give in the while criteria? Do I want to skip certain levels? I can say in the skip levels over here, say that if the manager is not out of, or he's an L1, or he's out of some other thing. I'm saying that do not have any approvals for them. This will skip basically all of this. Let me randomly pick one level. I'm just saying manager is director. I gave a criteria. Let me just give a simple criteria over here, which is a very common criteria which we usually use. Manager, criteria C or management level, director approval. What this means by this is say, for example, you are going to be, say you could have a criteria. You could have a management approval chain where I say I need to definitely get the approval of somebody at a director level. How would you traverse? You could be at a clerical level or an administrative level. From there, you want to go directly for an approval at a director and above level, or even at a director level. How exactly do you achieve? We use this particular while running condition. What exactly this means is it will traverse along the management chain, and first it is going to go to L1 manager, L2 manager, L3, L4 manager. It will find out who among these is going to be a director. Say for example, if L1 is at first, it will go to L1 manager. If L1 manager is a director, then this criteria will be fulfilled and it will go for an approval with the L1 manager. If not, it will go to the next level manager, which is L2 manager. LL2 manager, if he's at a management level of director, it will go for an approval. If not, it will go to the next one, which is L3 level manager. It will go to the L3 level manager and find out if that particular person is a director. If he is a director level person, the L3 level manager is a director, then it will go for his approval. This is what we can, or this is how we can achieve skip level approvals as well. And again, I can have if or whatever criteria that I want to have, I can have it over here. If my management levels is going to be L1, L2, 3, L4, the way I have designed it, I can go for all of that as well. I can say that the criteria is going to be like management levels in 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. It should go for approval only for these levels. We saw about while criteria, and we also have something called as exit conditions, which is mandatory. What exactly this exit condition does is see this is automatically traversing from the bottom level, which is at a L1 manager. All the way it will go across to CU. When should this end? Say I'm traversing in the management hierarchy. L1 manager, L3 manager, L4, L5, all the way to the CU. But there is a possibility that it is going to go into an infinite loop. When should I actually end this? Do I need to get the approval of all of these people in this particular hierarchy? May not be necessary because I could have 7 or even 11 levels of manager or management hierarchy people there. It could be sufficient that I can get approvals of just one person at a director and above level. Say for certain criteria or certain business transactions, something like hiring somebody or any financial related transactions. It could be if I get an approval from anybody in your management chain who is of director and above. In that case, I can say a simple criteria over here as approval count. I don't know whether there is a criteria. Here it says approval count is 2. But I can have many criteria also. I could say that stop. Don't go beyond a senior director level because above senior director there could be somebody at a CEO level. I could have an approval from vice president director, senior director. That's it. It should not go to the CEO level. I can say the approval rule here or the exit criteria rule here as don't go beyond director level. It should be director and below. Once it goes to the next level, come out of the loop. Here, this particular criteria which we have over here is called as approval count 2. Here the criteria says approval chain count in 2, which means it will stop when I have got 2 approvals. From director level, it will traverse above. Director, senior director, or somebody of that sort. And it will end at the point where I have got 2 people who have approved this particular transaction. It will stop right over there. First we saw entry condition. Next, entry condition is nothing but this is applicable only for a New York City location. Rest of them is not applicable. Next, we just saw a simple criteria over here where it says approval level is going to be somebody at a director level. Only for a director level, it needs to be approved. Next, we saw an exit criteria, which means I need to have only 2 levels of approval at a director and above. That's it. This is the way the approval chain criteria are configured. And in any approval chain, while an exit criteria are mandatory, if you do not give it, it's going to throw an error. Please be mindful about when you create an approval chain over here. Now I'm going to be hiring somebody, and I'm going to be hiring somebody for this particular supervisory organization of Carolee. All right. Above Carolee, I have Jamie Stone. I don't know whether Jamie Stone is going to be a director level, or let's see who is a Jamie Stone. Jamie Stone is a consultant manager. And let's see the management level of Jamie Stone. All right. My criteria that I have given there is it should go for an approval only if a person is at a director and above level. First, when Carolee is initiating a transaction, it will go to Jamie Stone. Is Jamie Stone a director? It will skip that level and go next to Carolee Abort. Now it will go next to Carolee Abort. We see Carolee Abort at a director level. Definitely it will go across to Carolee Abort because he is at a director level. And who is above? Carolee Abort is next. It is Dal Parker, who is at a vice president level. He is not at a director level, at least how I have configured this rule. I could even say like anybody above a director. Definitely, then Daryl Parker is going to be also in the chain. Right? Is Daryl Parker a director level? He is not at a director level. It is going to skip that. And then next it will go to Max Millen, who is at a CEO level. He is also not at a director level. It is going to actually skip it. All right. And it is going to come out of the loop eventually. Does that make sense to you? Management level. Above manager. It is above manager. What does this criteria have? All right. See here. I am saying here management levels in. It is like board of directors, CEO, vice presidents, vice president, board of directors, executive director, and manager. Managers and everybody else. In your criteria, you can say senior consultant plus your director. I can have it the way I can configure it. But I chose a simple example of management level here or manager level. It is easy for you to understand in the hierarchy. That is the reason why I chose that. The next thing that we have over here is batch or job. Batch or job is nothing, but if I want to execute any external job to load some data or any other data. For example, as a part of my common business example, I may want to load some of my punch in, punch out details when an employee is logging into the office and logging out. I could use a batch or a job to load that particular information. That is just an example. It may not be specific to the higher business process that we are seeing, but a common example which I can use to load data from my external vendors or something. Next, we have something called a checklist. As the name goes, say in a hire, I could have a checklist step initiated to my HR recruiter or somebody to say that these are the checklists that you need to perform. These are the documentations that you need to do. Just a common checklist is what you can just create, which can be there either for the candidate, the recruiter, or the manager, or anybody of that sort. That is what a checklist is. Next question is, this is something which is very, very commonly used. Say, for example, I need to get some information from an employee manager candidate. Say from a candidate perspective or from a future employee perspective, I can get a checklist. I can ask him, how was your onboarding experience? Did you have any difficulties? Or as a part of hiring itself, I can say that, well, have you received the laptops? Do you have any kind of special requirements that you may need to commute to office in terms of transportations and everything? I can have many different questionnaires which I can configure specific to my business process, because this is not something which is only specific to hire, but I can have this as a part of many such business processes as well. And this is something which we very commonly use in many different business processes. That is number one. And second thing that you may want to note over here is when I'm going to be having a questionnaire, I may get some responses from the candidates. And based on the responses that I receive, I can also have future steps conditionalized. For example, say I'm going to create a questionnaire to the future employee asking him, do you require any special commutations? Yes, because a candidate could be differently abled. I may ask him, do you require any special commutation on your day one to attend the session, onboarding session? If he's going to respond, yes, I can have another criteria, probably A2, and I can give the A2 criteria for that and say that if the candidate requires it, please contact the transport admin and let the transport admin pick up something which needs to be done. I can have certain actions based on my questionnaire responses as well. Alright, that is one. Next, consolidated approval. I think we already saw this at the start of this particular session. If I'm going to have multiple approvals going across to the same person, if he's going to approve it just once, then it is. That's it. It's going to be done. It's going to be approved one shot. It's going to be approved for all of his actions, all of his approvals in the future. This is something which we use as a nice to have. All right. Certain clients may prefer this, certain clients may not. Whenever you're going to use this, be mindful about how you're using it. An activity for the day-to-day is going to be, you are going to be testing approval chains. That is consolidated approvals, approval chains, and consolidated approval chains as well. That's going to be the activity for you. Go ahead and have consolidated approvals for multiple approval steps and see how it performs. Next one, additional data edit. For now, edit additional data. Just park it for now, because this is something like as a part of higher business process, I may have to create additional objects which is outside of what is already delivered. If I have some other customizations which I want to do specific to my hire, I would use edit additional data. For now, park it, because this is a really advanced topic, not in scope for our foundation. Next, integration. After hire, for example, I want to have an integration whereby, say, I may have an external payroll vendor to whom I may want to send some payroll information. In that case, I use the integration step whereby I will be sharing this information that I have captured from hire to the external payroll vendor. It could be like Ceridian A, D, P, or Paynext. Any of these payroll vendors, I may send this particular data. That is what an integration step is going to do. Next, report and report groups are for reporting purposes. As a part of this, if I want to have a report generated and that particular report needs to be sent across for a review or for a review by somebody, I will use this. Not very commonly used, but just for your knowing purposes. For you to know, that's it. Next, review documents. Say if I want to have certain documents reviewed. For example, say as a part of higher business process, I may have the future employee or the candidate review and sign certain documents. It could be like a non-disclosure agreement or company terms and agreements, All those stuff can be sent across to the candidate. And I can also have this integrated with DocuSign. For example, commonly now all the employers use one or more of the e-signatories. Or very simple. At a very simple level, I can say that once a candidate is being hired, I need to have the as a part of my onboarding process. I need to have the candidate review and sign certain non-disclosure and company policy documents, which means it will definitely sign on day one. I can use this review document step. I ask the candidate to review these documents, sign it, and send them across in the system. I can do all of this within Workday itself. That is a specific example that we use for review documents. Next, it is a service. Any kind of service or any kind of other related actions that I want to do, I will have it as a part of service. It could be a third-party integration service or other relevant stuff that I want to do. Next, it's going to be a to-do. To do is simply put, to do is going to be just a checklist or a normal action which is outside of this. For example, I can have a to do created for a manager, and the manager and the to do could be like send a mail across to the assets team or the infra team who's not in Workday. You can just send a note here to the manager. Please check with the infra and the assets team whether the laptops will be ready on day one or not. Some kind of a to-do list that I want to have. It could be anything. What I gave you is just a very, very simple common example which we use in any higher business process, but it could be any of them as well. Another one more important topic that I wanted to discuss over here. Alright, let me just go over here. Now we saw about approvals over here. Right. Yesterday, those who had configured the approvals. When you went into approval, whom did you choose as an approval? And did you check this particular option over here which says security groups allowed for the workflow step? Have you ever wondered what is actually feeding the data for this particular step or where this is populated from? Have you wondered where it is coming from? Let me just tell you where this is coming from because this is something very important. What we call it as business process security. And one thing you need to remember is about a business process. Security is if I am going to be configuring a security for a business process. It means it is for all the different business processes that are there in the system. Which means if I am going to say business process security, I cannot configure one specifically for only the one that Nishant has configured over here, Higher Simplified BPNs. It is going to be for BPS, BPR and BP Gitik, everybody. It is going to be the same business process security for all the business processes which have been created under Hire. For Hire, it is going to be only one security policy. No matter who has created what, for which business, which supervisory organization, or which kind of definition that you have created. Clear on this for all of them, we have just one Hire business process security policy. Be very, very clear with this. I am going into Nishant's definition. I go to business process policy and I go across and view this. And let me pick another one over here. I say Hire simplified or let me pick another one. This is a random because this was cloned from this. Probably you might ask me a question whether because I cloned it, it is coming the same. But let me pick up Hirebria. It is probably created by another user. And I go to view over here and view in new tab. Even though I created or went to the business process policy for hire Bria, it is only going to say business process policy for hire, which means it is the same for all hire business processes. No matter you created for XYZ organization or you created a specific one for Nishant, Aryan or Gitika or anybody, it is always the same only for all higher business processes. This is the business process security policy. There will be no differences. For hire, there is going to be just one policy. That's it. Nothing else. Hope everybody understand the difference right. Understood the difference right. Because it is the same for every higher business process definition that I'm going to be creating. I cannot have one customized for my own definitions. It's the same across the board for everybody. Alright, this is number one. Number two, if I go to my business process security policy, it is for hiring only. Now, if you see over here, we have different policies over here. Now I've gone to view business process policy, security policy. If I want to edit it, the same thing. I just need to go to the business processes related actions. Over here, instead of business process policy, I went to view. I just need to go to edit. If I want to edit the same option over there, or if I want to edit my business process security policy. This is an edit option and this is a view business process security policy page. And what all of these are? First one, who can start a business process, which means you try to initiate the business process as Kali, who is a manager. And you also try to initiate the business process as Joy Banks or probably Logan McNeil. Both of them are managers as well. These are the security groups who can initiate this particular business process, which means only specific people can start hiring or start the hire business process. Because I cannot have XYZ doing this. I can only have certain people doing the business process initiation. Initiating who can start the business process. That is the first option we have. Initiating action is called as hire employee. And I can have only any one of these security groups or people who are assigned to security groups. Who can initiate this? Next, we have something called as delegations. Delegation. It is like if I am going to be a manager, I can delegate the hire business process to somebody else who is working under me. Probably from a manager, I can initiate it or I can delegate it rather to a lead who is working in my team during my absence. That is what delegation comes to. Right? Next one, a hire employee web services. For now, just remember that if a hire is going to be happening from a third party, that is what this hire web service is going to be. Right? For now, just remember that that's a little bit higher in the topic. Next initiating action is going to be a convert contingent worker to an employee. The same hire business processes. I can use it for I have a contract worker. That contract worker, I can also use the same hire business process to convert him into a regular worker. Remember when we went to that hire option in the supervisory organization, we saw 4 different hire actions. I asked you to choose only the second option over there, which is to hire somebody. The rest of the options were related to hire an employee, convert to employee, even though the label was different. It is all driven from over here. Probably just trying to make the link right now from there to here. Right? Next, hire employee from existing pre-hires following them. if I have already a pre-hire. I'm just trying to use that particular option over here. It is all self-explanatory in terms of hiring. Whom can I have as hiring? What can I do for that? That is specifically what these are. Next, the other action I have over here is add employee status to academic affiliates. In terms of the education related details, if I want to make some changes to the employee, I can use that. Next, hire an employee directly from employment agreement. Again, all those options, 4 options that you saw over there. This is where it is actually coming from. But since this is a training tenant, just leave it. We usually do not use all of these in a live production environment because nobody is going to be hired directly from an employment agreement. That's completely, nobody will do it the right way. That's what it is. Leave all that right now. I'm directly going across. If I come to the bottom, I'm coming to who can do action steps in the business process. Action steps are nothing but whatever we saw over here. These are the action steps. In my action, what are the different stuff that I can do? That is what is going to be available over here. Next, verify proposed employee ID. I can have different actions over here. If you see, I can have many different actions. For all of these actions, I can give only specific people who can do all of these. I am not going to say that everybody is going to have access to it. That doesn't make sense, right? In the real world, I cannot say that all these people are going to have access. Only certain people can have access to do certain actions. Alright. What who can do actions on the entire business process? View all. Say, for example, I'm going to be hiring somebody. Alright, I'm going to be hiring somebody. In the interim, if I want a director level or a CEO level person to view who are the people who are going to be hired, or I can have an HR admin level person who wants to review the ongoing hire business processes. The process tab, and find out where they are stuck right now. That is what is called as view all, which means the person who has the view all access can view all the details about the hire business process event. Where it is stuck. What are the details which is being flown? Everything can be viewed. It is a view all access in a nutshell. View completed only. We have something like 21 groups or security groups who can view the view all access. View completed only. Here it means only those business processes which are completed who can view them. If something is in the pipeline, in the progress, say it's with approval with somebody, with a manager or somebody, that particular person will not be able to view it. He can view only the completed ones over here. Approve. Here we are. If I go to the approval, this is by manager. I was asking you a question over here. Who are the people? It says here, as security groups allowed for a workflow step. You see many roles over here. Where do all these roles come from? If I'm going to be having somebody over here added as a part of approval, then this is going to automatically flow here as well. Say tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to say a CEO who's assigned to the supervisory organization, also part of the approval. Then that will come in over here. This is what feeds data to approval action. Ad hoc approvals. See, we saw about ad approvals yesterday. If I'm going to have some ad approvals, whom can I have as approvals over here? This is specifically where that comes in. Cancel. If I want to cancel my business process in toto, this is where it comes in. Yesterday, when you had the option to approve it, there is a related actions tab over there. There you will be able to see this cancel option. Resent is specifically the entire business process. I want to roll back all the changes that have happened. Cancel is completely canceling the business process. You cannot go back to a business process if you are going to cancel it. Resend is only roll back the changes that we have done in the last step. Which means if a person has accidentally approved it, but instead he wanted to approve it, but he wants to resign this, that is where rescind will come in. You're just going to be rolling back just the last step that you did. Correction. I've already done it, but I want to correct some data. Only these security groups are going to have access to correct my business process data. Right. Reassignment. Just leave it for now. You saw about approvals. And we also have the option to deny certain things. Certain people can deny this as well. Instead of approve pushback, you also saw what is called as deny. This is where it comes from. Alright, clear on this. Rest of them are not taking it because it's now very, very basic. I want to go only one step at a time. I don't want to jump the gun and give you the ideas about everything else as well. Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@therightuptalk.com.